Pranam. Many of us who are walking on a spiritual path, we go through this confusion. I want to surrender, or I have surrendered, or have I surrendered? It's a very deeper knowledge, and a lot of us have those questions. And it's difficult to analyze it with the mind. So before my Kundalini awakening, my whole goal was doing the business, raising kids, just like everybody else has, and doing this with pure heart and keeping my karma in my mind or action. But after Kundalini awakening, this all became so clear. It is fascinating what I experienced, or the knowledge that has been poured within me from the universal. There is a separate video how the knowledge really came. It says when you have Kundalini that has been awakened and has gone through your 7 chakras, you become the source of the knowledge, and it is a reality. But there is another video that I have recorded about the knowledge, how it comes in. But thankfully, because of that knowledge, I am able to go through my spiritual journey with very much clarity. How do we surrender? When do we surrender? That is such a confusing part. Even after Kundalini awakening, that's the first word I learned, to surrender. To surrender to who? Surrender to universal energy, the pure consciousness, or the God, whatever we believe in. But every moment, every day, the question kept coming in my mind. Am I really surrendering? And this energy that is guiding me will tell me if I'm not surrendering. It's beautiful experience. It's beautiful. And whenever I am trying to use my brain, the energy will guide me through whether pain or pleasure. Most of my months, of the beginning months, I would say first 10 months were extremely painful. And that has been again recorded in another video that I have described my journey. Looking into surrender. So again, I'm a businesswoman, and my days were occupied with so many hours of running the business and doing the work. And after Kundalini awakening, if I'm trying to, but I have to run the business. But if energy is telling me to go within, connect with her, and I'm fighting, it will be painful because I'm not surrendering. So that was the first sign that I experienced. And that gave me clarity that I'm not surrendering right now, when I'm not listening to this wonderful energy that I'm blessed with. As I mature in this journey after awakening, and when I got to some stability after about 11 months, as I was maturing, I was getting more and more clarity about surrender. What I learned, or again, there is no I here. So what we call Ma Shakti, or we call it universal energy or Kundalini energy, what she taught me is just flowing with her flow and literally not using the brain. I can go on and on how difficult it is not to use the brain, because when I'm running the business, the only thing I'm using is the brain every moment. And now I'm telling my brain not to work, not to do anything. And that's why those first 10 months were very, very difficult and struggleful. Because again, I have to use my brain to do the business, or it's used to, and it hasn't learned to listen to this divine energy. But as I said, as I was maturing, my surrendering was getting better. My trust for this divine energy was growing deeper than my brain was telling me what to do. And I would have to consciously tell my brain. As I said, running the business, there are so many pieces and in the puzzle that you have to do on a daily basis. And if this divine energy is telling me to not do certain things, let's say there is a day that I woke up with and I'm not able to do any work. There are physical symptoms, there are emotional symptoms, there are mental, which is related to the brain symptoms. And I would just have to connect with the nature the whole day, or I would be weeping whole day in a sadness. But that I learned through this divine energy. She guided me, or she guided again this brain, that it's okay. So surrendering is not the physical surrender that many of us gets confused in the beginning, but it's a mental surrender. When we stop using our brain and we just work through this energy is telling us. For example, there are certain meetings that I have to do, and my brain is telling me right now is not the appropriate time to do that meeting. But this divine energy is guiding me to do that meeting. And this is where the mind and brain comes in the picture. This divine energy is using this mind and a body. So the body parts, the mind to use the intellect, the mouth to speak the words. So it taught me that this divine energy is telling me to do this meeting right now. And it's using this brain and mouth as an instrument to deliver whatever is supposed to be delivered to the team. And the results comes out beautiful, amazing. Because now you're not doing those meetings with the brain, but this divine energy is flowing through you to your entire team. They may not feel it, but the results comes out through this divine energy. So what I have learned to surrender is not using the brain and not using the body as a doer, but as an instrument. And it takes time, but it definitely comes with the blessings of divine energy. I am not sure if it is difficult to do without the Kundalini awakening or not, because I didn't go through that phase. My Kundalini awakening was instantaneous. I was yogi. I used to do Hatha yoga since childhood. I used to do yoga on a vertical hanging rope. I had been on a national levels in India. I have explained my journey in another video, but then we moved to Canada, and then I moved to US after getting married, and then I run the business. But so I have done Hatha yoga, some meditation, but not to the extent that I was a deep meditator, not to the extent that I would be doing those spiritual rituals on a daily basis. So when my Kundalini got awakened, I was clueless. I didn't even know the word Kundalini. So I am unsure that if someone wants to walk on a spiritual path without this, without the Kundalini awakening, is this possible to surrender? Surrendering the mind, surrendering the body, and just making sure or understanding that these are just my instruments, and this instrument is going to do what this divine energy is telling. Even in Indian scriptures, Yoga Vashishta and Ashtavakra Gita, has been explained too. And even in the Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, it has been explained that this body and mind are just an instrument. We've heard this. And we do want to think this as an instrument, but it's very difficult to really put in a practical life, in a day-to-day life. But through this video, hopefully people who are walking on a spiritual journey will be able to dissect that, what it is to surrender and how to progress in a spiritual life by deepening this surrender. If you have any questions about, if you are having some difficulties or have questions about surrendering, please feel free to share. And we together as a spiritual community can guide each other, help each other, and grow together towards the moksha and nirvana that we all want to achieve. With that, namaskar.